You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Wild Geese, Mary Oliver.
Thank you so much for bringing in this poem. I think this poem definitely speaks to how you approach the world.
How, me personally?
Yes.
As opposed to you?
This is one of your favorite poems.
It is,
And
yeah.
the first poem that you did is this poem.
Mhm.
So as opposed to all the other 4 poems I did, which was laced with a bit of cynicism, and the one that wasn't, I was like, that triggered me.
That's a good observation. I guess you can see the difference between
Right.
us.
Whereas this poem, well, I'll tell you what I feel about this poem later. Tell me how you got this poem and what you feel about it.
Oh, yeah. This is probably my favorite poem ever. I love, I think I encountered it in high school. Kind of like you said, my high school English teacher was my second semester of my senior year of high school, which was a rough time for me. I was also coming out at the time. And I remember reading that line where she says, you only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Like, looking over my shoulder in the middle of English class, being like, excuse me? Or just thinking, like, who's talking to me right now? In that way that sometimes happens, I guess. And it was so comforting. And then I encountered it again when I was in college. I took some voice and speech classes and got to work on it in college, and it kind of circled back to me. And I've always loved Mary Oliver, who's for personally, she died recently, but she was also
in 2019.
Yeah, but she was also a queer woman, and to me it meant something to me, especially when I was younger. And it's just tremendously comforting, I think, this poem.
Right. I agree. In fact, I think I wrote it down on my notes that it's like a comforting friend. Because it starts with, you do not have to be good, because we so want to be good.
Right.
Sometimes it reminds me of like news clips where people are like, we're good people, we don't deserve this terrible thing. And it's like, we all want to be good. And it really hurts when we feel like we weren't good,
What a simple hook to let you off of at the very beginning, just to say.
Exactly. It's just,
period.
You do not have to be good. It's okay. You're a flawed person. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I loved that very beginning. And then you do not have to walk on your knees for all of this. It's like, it reminds me of a monastery.
Me too.
And my God, did they live brutal lives? For no reason. They wanted to live that brutal life because they just felt so spiritually guilty all the time.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
So, and she lets us off of that guilt from the beginning.
You
don't have to be repenting in all of this elaborate ways all the time. You messed up. It's okay.
Yeah, it's so simple. And it always got me the way she calls it the soft animal of your body. I
love it, yeah.
Just that little, those 2 words are the entire thing for me. Like, who has ever called your body a soft animal? Right. Like, it's so generous to say that, I think.
And you know what I observe even there is that when we say, oh, that person is an animal,
Right.
like, animal means less than human, less than good, you know, where she's like, yeah, less than good, but soft. Soft, less than good.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
think about your, like the way you look at your dog when when she, is irritating you, but then she's like sitting on the floor, and you're like, oh, or you're, whatever it is.
Yeah, you're just like any other animal. Why would you treat yourself that way?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very generous poem, I think. And I love that she puts all that forth without being saccharine or without oversimplifying, and it's not just an everything's going to be okay poem. It's she comes right out and says, "Tell me about despair."
Right.
And I'll tell you mine.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she doesn't even say but. She just says, "Meanwhile, while we are all despairing, here is what is out your window."
That also got me. It's like, I acknowledge that there exists trouble, that there exists cynicism, which is like what I have been bringing in to delve into. It's like, cynicism must go. She's like, I acknowledge that exists. Not gonna say it doesn't. However, like, it's not even like, but it doesn't matter. It's like, but let's just take our eyes and let's shift our focus to something else.
Right.
Something much bigger.
Right.
Yeah, and then we have that beautiful imagery.
She is a master of imagery, Mary Oliver. Oh man, all of her poems have like such a cord woven through them of nature and being really, really connected to nature. So I guess that tracks with this one. I love the wild geese are heading home again. The thing that's so cyclical about that, and then she brings it back. And it calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting. And that's so vivid. We can all hear that sound of wild geese squawking, kind of. And now, even whenever I hear that, I have an affection for it. I'm like, all right. Announcing your place in the family of things. As an animal, as a soft animal, you're part of the family of things. And that's as it should be.
Yeah. I liked this part. The world offers itself to your imagination. However lonely you are, the entire world is here for you. You may not have another person, but the whole world, the whole wide world is here for you. It's offering itself to you.
Right.
And I like that part where she says, harsh and exciting. It reminds me again about that part with the despair, is that the things that are calling you, not necessarily easy.
Right. They're harsh, but they're exciting.
That's what gives you a place.
Right.
And the beautiful thing is that over and over, it calls you over and over. There's no, there's no deadline.
Right.
You haven't passed it. It's not like, oh, I lost my chance.
Right. It's
because again, you don't have to be good.
Right. And this is a poem that comes back to me year after year after year, kind of in those like those very humble moments, those low to the ground moments where it reminds you that you have lots of chances over and over, and it will remind you of this each day, each month, each year as you, I don't know, we are so dramatic as humans. So like we always just think that this or that is the end of everything.
Oh my God, my toast burnt.
Right.
What is wrong?
Like it just simply it could never get any worse. Or just that you
you know, one thing that I used to do is that I have always struggled with lateness. Not always. I think it started in high school. I'd be late to places a lot. And I've always tried, but I failed over and over. But I've gotten better. Anyway, the point is that I noticed at one point that as I was late to a place and I was knowing that I was late, I was like, just die. Why don't you die? You die. And then suddenly it occurred to me, do I have to die over this? Why do I have to die over this?
Right.
So,
yeah. And we feel that way, and we make ourselves feel that way too, that like, this is it. This is the thing you were waiting for to prove that you're really not cut out for this or that, or you're really not deserving of this or that. You don't have to be good. have to be good.
Yeah, don't have to be repenting on your knees all the time.
No.
Right.
But it's saying you do have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves.
Right.
Which you could take to mean so many things, but being true to oneself
And it asks us that, well, it's telling us that it's announcing this phenomenon, is announcing our place in the family of things. I like this word. I like how she characterizes it as the family of things. Again, that brings that softness.
Yeah, it is. Overall, it's a very, it's like, you come home like to your mom when you were a kid at the end of the day, just out of sorts about something or sobbing about something. And it's just like, it's just very gentle. It's very soothing. It's very, and it's without being trite, but it's steady and reminds you that you are part of a family.
Right.
That goes on.
And it says it's announcing your name, your place in the family of things. So our places are being announced, but it's up to us to take that place.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're still the subject in this poem, and we're reminded of that. So I wonder, was she writing it while thinking about a friend of her whom she wanted to say that stop feeling so guilty or something?
I wonder. Yeah.
But that's how it made me feel. And it's like, okay, so I don't have to be so cynical all the time.
It always gets me to think. Mary Oliver was in, I could be wrong about this, but she was in her old age, 70s or 80s when she died a few years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
She wrote this poem decades ago as a woman who loved other women too. To be able to say this to herself and say this to other people, like, feels like what a thing to say. What a kind of grace to be able to have toward yourself and toward others.
Right. And I feel like she discovered that knowledge and brought it back to us. And she gave us grace through her own grace. Well, thank you for sharing this poem.
Thank you for talking about it with me.
Anything else you want to share about this poem?
No, just listen again.
Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.